Alright, we are back on gaming. Yeah, I got a lot of bullshit to tell you. Yeah, we're back on gaming. I want to start off with what I said last week. That's right. Now remember, last week, 2015, I said at the end of the video that, this year, 2016, we're in a new year, starting a new year, we can do great things. I said, we can help clean up our community because God knows everything positive that we do, as you know, people will always look for that one negative thing to hold over your head. They always do, all right? No matter how many positive things we do. But I said this is a year that we can help diffuse situations and help dismantle, accusations and things of that nature. And for those who don't know, because as you know, SJWs, they're going to try and keep this going. And they've already, should I say announced, I should say that, announced that 2016, now that we're here, that they're going to up their efforts. That's right. As we know, when they mean up their efforts against people, against the community in general, they're going to up their efforts, all right, to keep their cash cow going, because without these accusations and complaints and things of that nature in the victim complex, guess what? They don't really exist. They're not relevant. That's what happens. But we're going to talk about serious issues today that do plague our community, as opposed to what they're on, all right, what they're talking about and their accusations, and we'll talk about that. So I want to start right now with an article called, and it was written at the Huffington Post, yeah, all right, How Women Will Save Gaming. You cannot be this fucking stupid. I told y'all before, they pretty much do the work for me. You can't be this fucking stupid to write something like this. So, let's start. Okay, first off, understand, gaming doesn't need to be saved by a specific gender, alright? This community is made up of so many people. It doesn't matter nationality, men, women, transgendered, whatever. It is a mixed bag when it comes to our community, alright? So for you to lay responsibility to save gaming to one gender, you can fuck off, alright? That's number one. Number two, you are a man telling all women that they need to save gaming. You cannot be this fucking stupid. You can't be, okay? But if we're going to play devil's advocate here, okay? Alright, if I want to play devil's advocate on this stupidity, let's get on it, alright? Women in gaming. I need you to talk about the serious issues from now on. And we're not talking about your feelings or how you feel, how you're slated because of sexism or harassment. No. I need you to talk about serious issues in our community, because you're supposed to be part of our community. I need you to talk about season passes. I need you to talk about DLC. I need you to talk about, microtransactions. I need you to talk about the sleazy parts of this industry and how they get people. We've seen reports already. We've seen last year on how it was, and many YouTubers, many big time, famous gamers said, companies approached me and they wanted to give me all these products to plug their product. That's right. Some of them even said they even hired call girls, to bait them to come, to come to their stuff so they can plug them and give them a free, free advertising. You don't want to talk about that though, do you? No. Do you want to talk about how the industry, how it treats their consumers? Have we not seen enough of that? You don't want to talk about that, do you? We'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah. You don't want to talk about that, though, do you? Like, all these serious issues that we have in our community, and you're still playing this Jack and Jill bullshit with these articles. That's what you're doing. It is one of the most immature things I've seen. If you're part of this community, then you should know that there's so many issues, which makes me say that you're not part of this community, all right? There's so many issues that you're let fly under the radar. These type of articles are a distraction, all right? That's what it is. It's a smokescreen to the real issues that are going on in our community. But you still want to play this bullshit. So a man's going to appoint all women because you're a collective now, all right? That's the devil's advocate part. You're a collective. He's going to appoint all women, all right, to be the savior. That's right, to be the savior. So since we're talking about collectives, all right, and appointing everyone in one lump, a whole group, I think we're going to run with that today, all right, because of the stupidity. Yeah, we're going to go with that, all right? So let's get to the next thing. For those who don't know, we're going to talk about, like I said, 2016, they're going to amp up their efforts. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Intel, that's right, Intel has said that now that they're going to amp up their efforts and they're going to fight against Gamergate. Really, Intel? Are we supposed to forget that when this all started and people tried to throw you into it, you said, Intel, we don't want anything to do with this. Did you not? And what happened? SJWs came for pretty much your firstborn. That's what happened. They went after you. I'll never buy your products again, blah, blah, blah. They were yelling to the moon with you. And then Gamergate was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then when you decided to cave to their pressure and join their little group, what happened? Then Gamergate said, wait a minute, this is not right. You're caving to pressure. If you're going to act like this because of who you have, you know, who you're giving money to when it comes to websites and things of that nature. And for those that don't know, Intel has given money to Mr. Macintosh. That's right, the same Macintosh that, you know, says the most dumbest things on Twitter. And when he was caught, what did he say last year? I'm only trolling. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Intel, you gave this man money, all right? Therefore, he is now an employee. He is in a representation of the money you've given him, right? Okay. So when you look at his Twitter and you look at the history of the things that he said, and you know they're not only, as he would say, toxic, but slanderous and false, you still want to give him that money, Intel? But you now want to say that you're going to join Vox Media, which is Polygon and all these people, which are disgusting media outlets, as you know, Intel. You want to say that that's going to amp up the fight against Gamergate by giving money. Now, look, I'll put it like this, people. If you're going to sit here and say that, people have to start looking and say, wait a minute, all these media outlets are upset. Wait a minute. You got companies now throwing money to stay on board to help these people. Something's not right, because if this is about, you know, sexism, harassment, because that's what it said, sexism, right? That's what they tried to say it was at first. And we were like, no, it isn't. If you notice that, you know, that announcement that Intel put out, what did they say? They didn't say sexism, did they? No. They said online harassment, which means every time now, you know, because that was the original accusation was, this is sexist, this is misogynist. It's not about that anymore, is it? No. It's about online harassment as a whole. Which means that the narrative, the original narrative that they had, they lost. They lost it. Pretty much, SJWs, every time you prove them wrong and you're getting ready to score, what do? They move the goalpost. That's what they do. It's absolutely ridiculous. So now you're going to fight Gamergate on online harassment, which pretty much, at this point, anyone can use a hashtag. Doesn't matter who it is, all right, and go harass someone. Therefore, it's Gamergate because they are responsible for the shield, the whole entire umbrella, all right, of online harassment. Are you fucking kidding me? But that's where it's going to go. That's where it's going to go. Every time, online harassment must be Gamergate. Intel, do you realize, for those who have not been, you know, keeping steps on all this, when people get together like this as a collective, I know some people have tried to say it's a syndicate. I don't know if it's a syndicate, but clearly, when you're having all this money change hands, because if this is about sexism, these media outlets would not be so, you know, their feathers would not be this ruffled. And then go and try and fight, and then try to get other companies to join into the fight. You've got to be kidding me. All this for, as you would say, a couple of gamers who were harassing people. That's what you would say, right? Or just a couple of gamers. Because remember, it's only a bunch of white neckbeard shitlords, right? It's only a couple of them, because not all of them do it, right? Not all gamers do it, right? So, it doesn't make any sense that, you know, these companies would do this. Obviously, it's not about sexism. Obviously, it's not about online harassment. I showed you last week that they're trying to replace you gamers with a specific type of person, which means the consumer who's unknowing. Meaning they can just spew their bullshit wherever they want, and they don't want to be questioned about it. And if you don't believe me, if you look back, we can see, as a collective, how they tried to attack gamers. All those articles written on the same day to accuse and, as we say, slander gamers, right? Are you going to sit here and tell me that they're going to still deny that those, you know, the journalist pros, that email that went around, that it's fake? Nobody. There's not that much coincidence in the world that so many articles will be written about the same thing on the same day by different people. No way. You've got to be kidding me. All right? But that's not all. No. Like I said, they're amping up their efforts, and apparently it started in late January, I believe. I mean, not late January. Late December. Or should I say just late 2015. For those who don't know Gamergate, apparently now the thing is, if they throw your name into anything, all right, that's somewhat negative, you will be, you know, tied to it. So the name Gamergate will be, you know, will be notorious, we should say. For those who don't know, they said that Donald Trump, that's right, at the Washington Post, Donald Trump is the Gamergate of politics. You know, for people, because they said Gamergate didn't matter. Gamergate was dead. Remember those hashtags? For a group of people that you say are irrelevant, you sure as hell give them a lot, and I mean a lot of attention. No one sees that though, right? No one? No one at all. You've got to be kidding me, man. Look, I put it like this. When you sit here and you try and tie a specific name and try to drag it into the mud for everything that's negative, it tells me that you're threatened by it. That's what it means. There's no way you can get all these companies together and just say, hey, this is bad, they're bad. But they're irrelevant, but you keep talking about them, don't you? You keep using their name for all types of things. You try to get hits off of it. So if anyone Googles Gamergate and that pops up, come on, man. You're not fooling anybody. We're seeing a lot of this. And here's the thing. Here's the sad part about this. That's the Washington Post. Had nothing to do with gaming, did it? Not whatsoever. It's about politics. That's what that was. Donald Trump and politics. Nothing to do with gaming. I want to say right now that the gaming media should be ashamed of themselves. Of course they're not, though. Because, they can't do any wrong. But if you think about it, back in the day with Jack Thompson, you had all the Leland Yee and all these people, they came out and said, games are horrible, they're violent, they turn you into killers, blah, 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 blah. And the gaming media said, you people are fucking nuts. You are outside of this community and this industry and this media. You have no idea what you're talking about. Now, a couple years later, you've opened up the door to people who have no idea what the gaming industry, what the community, or the gaming media is about. You've got politics now stepping in and saying, hey, we're back. We did this before, and now you gave us the door. You opened the door for us to come right back in. So I hope that you're happy with that. Non-gamers. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, since we're talking about all this sexism and all these type of things, I find it funny that none of these people who get on their high horse and talk about how women need this and women need that, and we talked about it last week, how some teenagers here in Philadelphia, teenage girls, they're developing games for skyscrapers. Well, check this out, all right? Because if you want to talk about oppressed, all right? Let's talk about this. For young Saudi women, video games offer self-expression. That's right, over in the Middle East. So, for these women who are beheaded for their beliefs, that's right, because they want feminism, they want to be free, and they're shot. We've seen the videos, all right? Beaten, raped. For these people that want to sit here and say, oh, I'm oppressed because somebody called me a name online, as opposed to people being fucking beheaded. You want to talk about that, though, right? You want to talk about this article, though, right? Why haven't, your usual suspects come out and said anything about this? Oh, because they have no idea what the fuck is going on. They just want to keep it going for themselves so they can get money. We've seen it time and time again. For these people to be about equality, they sure as hell don't talk about it a lot, do they? No, it's always about my side and that's it. They never talk about what's actually going on, in other parts of the world. Never. Like I said, I've never seen any of these people at a rally, at a march. No, they only show up to places like panels when they're paid. That's it. But like I said, I want to talk about more panels. Okay, I'll talk about panels. And I'll talk about, like I said, since they said that, gamers, they're not really gamers at this point, and gamers are dead and things of that nature. They don't have to be your audience, though. Yeah. Let's talk about a little hashtag that went around not too long ago about Gamergate aren't gamers. That's right. This is an actual thing. And you think that the word Gamergate, you think that would be there, but it obviously didn't compute with them. You know what I mean? The lights weren't on at the time. So, it's fine. You want to say that Gamergate aren't gamers. And I find that funny because, as you know, Gamergate has their own stream, their own Twitch, where they play games. But that's not enough. If Gamergate aren't gamers, all right? If they're not gamers, then why is it that every time somebody from Gamergate challenges you, one of you media people, one of you developers who are on this pony, why do you always back out? Because if they're not gamers, and you want to keep saying that you're a gamer, right? Because we see that all the time, and either, I'm not a gamer. Oh, yeah, I'm a gamer now. We see that. I play Going Home, I'm a gamer. You know what I mean? If you want to sit here and say that you're a gamer, and Gamergate aren't gamers, why do you keep getting scared and not taking any challenges when it comes to these games? Because I'll put it like this. If they're not gamers, then you should have no problem beating them, right? You should watch them. It should be a 10-0, right? Shouldn't be a problem. But yet, you want to sit here and still say, not gamers. Now, I'll put it like this. Once again, as a collective, You want to say that people who are under a hashtag, random people, all right, are not gamers. Do you have any proof of this? No? You don't have any proof of this. Okay. You don't have any proof of this. All right. How put this? As a collective, under a hashtag, all right, would you play any of these gamers? History says no, because I'll put it like this. I won't even give you 9 times out of 10. I'll say 10 times out of 10, Gamergate would beat any of these phonies. But also to you developers who are on this pony as well, all right? Since we're talking collectives, because that's what you do. You accuse and you bunch of, you put a bunch of people pretty much in a bag and say, this is you, and you're misogynist, and you're this, and you're this, so let's throw that back at you. Developers who are on this pony about Gamergate aren't gamers. Did you forget that when you went to a panel that they said developers aren't gamers themselves? Not to mention the people who are anti-Gamergate have admitted they're not gamers themselves. As it said, to trick nerd men into paying me attention. Attention whores. Because it goes to show you, if you have to act this way online for attention, that you don't get any attention in real life. You live a sad life. It's pathetic. Now that that's settled, I want to say this now. Any of these people who are anti-Gamergate, and they say, well, I'm a gamer and things of that nature, well, then you know what? As a collective, if you've decided that, you disagree with any of that being thrown back at you, then I advise you stop your bullshit. And stop saying that everybody under a hashtag is responsible for this, or this, or this. You gotta be fucking kidding me. That just dismantles everything right there. Alright? Now, are you done? Because all your childish antics, like I said before, disguise, I should say, it's a smokescreen to all the real issues. If you give a shit about the community or the industry, and I'm not talking about these little clowns, like I said, these little attention whores on Twitter. I'm talking about the media. That's right. Kotaku, Polygon, all you people, Engadget, all you people, alright? If you give a shit about what's going on in this industry, if you give a shit about what's going on in this community, you will drop this dumb shit and you will really talk about issues. Because let's be honest here, it's not going to get better until we start paying attention to that. But you don't talk about that, right? Let's just keep this meaningless drama going. People who accuse of, others of other things and being victimhood and donate to my Patreon and all this other bullshit. Time for this old bullshit. You are adults. Do you not understand this? Grow up. Jesus Christ. Let's move on. Let's talk about fighting games, please. Can we just move on? Okay. Because like I said, they're not going to take any. They're not going to take any of your your challenges anyway. So that's pretty much a good launching pad. Killer Instinct Season 3 is being released exclusively from Windows 10 in March. Wow, that's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Because I'll put it like this: if you don't have Windows 10, all right, you're in trouble. And I also put it like this: the Killer Instinct fan base, and we've talked about this time and time again. I'm sure there are people who still play Killer Instinct, all right? Like I said, when we went to the conventions and everything and in the tournaments, there weren't really many people playing the game, all right? So you're already, the community's already hurting as it is. It's already low as it is. And then you want to do this? What about the people who don't have Windows 10? And I know a lot of people say, well, you can get Windows 10, but you have to understand, for all the security problems that people have been talking about time after time, do you really think they want to upgrade? But to make it an exclusive for Windows 10, that's bad business. It is, Microsoft. It's bad business. I'll come back to Microsoft later, because I do want to talk about more fighting games. New Pachinko laws pushed SNK back into video games. Now, with this being said, and we're finding out this is actually true right now, I want to say this now. Everything that we have seen to this point, when we saw, SNK playing more, they're talking about bringing out a new King of Fighters and, things of that nature. We've seen, the trailers, and some people hate the trailer, some people got hyped for the trailer. We've seen recently what's been going on. Some of you messaged me and said, they're going to have a 50-person roster, I can't wait to get it. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, if you want to get the game, get the game. For those who don't know, SNK came out not too long ago and said that, we're going to make more games. We're going to focus more on games if King of Fighters does well. Yeah. So pretty much they're trying to get you to buy King of Fighters in order to get that new game. Now that we know that the Pachinko laws had changed and that they had no choice but to go back to games, guess what? They're fucking lying to you. That's what they're doing. You don't need to buy King of Fighters to get new games. They're going to come regardless because they need money. They need to keep their business afloat because they can't do it anymore with Pachinko machines. Just to let you know. That's what it comes down to. If you want to buy King of Fighters, go ahead. That's up to you. If you're a fan of it, go ahead. But I guarantee you, you're going to see more of these games come down the line, regardless if you buy it or not, because of what's going on. Once again, companies being dishonest. Let's keep going. To its consumers. Yeah, let's keep going. Akuma, that's right, Goki, whatever you call him. Akuma in Tekken 7 will not be a cheesy gimmick, says senior game designer. Really? Really? It's not a cheesy gimmick? So out all these years, we talked about this before, about the story-wise. Look, if you want Akuma in the game, you're hyped about the game, for Akuma, that's fine. That's not my beef with it. But the fact that you just shoehorned him in, come on. And then we saw the reports last week that they're going to try and ride off of Akuma so that Tekken vs. Street Fighter, come on, you going to tell me it's not a gimmick? In a game where you have bears and pandas and dinosaurs and robots fighting, you going to tell me it's not a gimmick? Come on, stop. I understand that they want to try and take it as serious as possible. But don't tell me it's not a gimmick. Don't tell me it's not just to get your attention. Because guess what? When it was announced, you wouldn't have, how about this? If it wasn't a gimmick, if it wasn't for special attention, if it wasn't to get people hyped, you wouldn't have made an announcement trailer simply for that. You wouldn't. Alright? You just part of the story and going on. But no, you made a specific trailer just for Akuma so that people knew he was in the game so they would get hyped and want to buy your game. It's a gimme. It's a cash grab. It's a gimmick. Alright? Like I said, if you want to get the game, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. You know what I mean? But don't sit here and lie. Alright? Shoehorn mechanics. How about that? You gotta be kidding me. But let's talk more about Street Fighter. Because people were saying after Akuma was announced, they expected Ryu and Chun-Li and a number of characters to be in this game. And I said, it's very well possible. I can see that happening as well. Well, they're saying now that no more Street Fighter characters are planned to be in Tekken 7. Planned. Alright? Which means plans change. That's what it means. If it's popular enough and they see it enough, they'll put it in the game. They will. I mean, come on, let's be honest here. If you're trying to ride off of this, which they have admitted, they're trying to ride off this, this hype for Akuma, so, Tekken versus... Are you going to tell me if they don't add more Street Fighter characters, that's going to bring even more to the fray? Or are you going to tell me that's not going to happen? I'll put it like this. It's one of those things, I'll believe it when I see it. That's how it feels. And the thing is, Tekken has been really good with their characters. Harada has been really good at being good with the community. Let's not get it twisted here, okay? He's been really good at this. But when you come out and say things like this, alright? No. Like I said, just because, and I'm a big Tekken fan, but like I said, it's one of those things, you have to be able to separate your fandom to when you feel as though you're being lied. Alright? It's one of those things. Be realistic about this. Let's move on. Activision. This is esports. You gotta talk about this. Activision Blizzard confirms that their MLG buyout as a building block for the ESPN of Esports. They want to be the ESPN of Esports. Now, when you say something like that, it makes me say, oh, God, no. I'm staying away. All right? I'm getting away from this. First off, it's Activision Blizzard. You know what Activision's going to do. You know what they're about. All right? That's number one. Number two, if you're going to try and make this the ESPN, first of all, I wouldn't even want to model myself after ESPN. All right? After the things that have been said on ESPN, after the way they act. I mean, we can't... I've shown you example after example after example, not just in gaming videos, but in sports videos as well, how ESPN acts. Vultures. So guess what? You're going to have the same thing here. You're going to get a bunch of guys be vultures in this whole Activision thing. Bobby Kotick just sitting back like this. He can't wait. Can't wait. Don't tell me he's not going to be part of it. All right? You have to realize, mind you, Bobby Kotick was almost fired not too long ago. But they were going to let him go. But to do something like this, to make a big move like this, I really hope it doesn't happen. Like, I hope that gamers don't buy into this. And of course, MLG is going to buy into it because they're bought out. But they're going to say, hey, fans, you should buy into this. And you're going to have all these people with their hand out saying, hey, look, we want to be part of this. It should stay the way it is. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be bigger. What I'm saying is, if you're going to do this, and I've time and time again we talk about this shit, all right? Players, teams, people who manage teams, things of that nature, you should go the actual sports route. Go get yourself contracts. Go get yourself benefits. Go get yourself all these things need to be settled before you sign on the fucking dot. You understand that? If you need to go get a fucking agent, that's right. If you need to go get an agent, go get one so that you make sure that you're secure. If you break your hand or something, you can still be, you still gonna get that pay instead of, oh, you're not performing, you're not doing anything, you're not getting sponsored right now. You know what I mean? Or if you're still going and your sponsors aren't paying enough. We've seen these complaints before about esports, have we not? Not to mention drug testing and things of that nature. There are way too many factors in esports that are still loose factors that, since you want to be sports, that are pretty much nailed down. I will put it like this. Before you sign on that dot, and that's the thing, people get so hyped and they're just blind following. Look, let's say you need shit in black and white. You need to look at this for what it is to back yourself. Because, like I said, I'm not for gamers making a career out of this, but if you're going to make a career out of it, I will advise you to go the right way about it so that there's some fucking longevity, so that you can live comfortably. But still, no one's going to talk about that, right? It's amazing how I can talk about this time and time again to improve the community, to help out people, and yet, okay, let's keep moving. Let's talk about Capcom. We talked about them not too long ago. Let's move on some more. Monster Hunter. That's right. Monster Hunter producer is interested in doing a Dino Crisis and Resident Evil. Give it to him, Capcom. Give it to him. Another Dino Crisis. We talked about this before, how we were waiting for another Dino Crisis, and how Capcom really dropped the ball by not, the old Dino Crises, not trying to make any sales or anything like that during Jurassic World when it came out. You could have banked off of it. You know what I mean? You didn't do that either, Capcom. I'm just saying, you could have done something by now with Dino Crisis. You've had more than enough chances. But now that this producer wants to take it on, give it to him. Give it to him. Give it to him. Like, I don't know. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Let's move on. Sega. Sega to bring Vanquish, Virtua Fighter 5, and many others to the PC. It's a good move, Sega. It really is. But I do want to talk more about Sega. Because for those who don't know, it's once again, another thing that flies on our radar. Happy 20th anniversary to the Sega Saturn. That's right. One of the best systems back in the day. Seriously, Panzer Dragoon, the King of Fighters collection. I mean, there were so many games for the Sega Saturn, and it was such short-lived. It always reminds me of how the Dreamcast was. How it had so many great things, and then it was so short-lived because of what happened. Sega Saturn does not get enough credit. It doesn't. But since we are talking more about, 20 years and things of that nature, I want you to hear this. This is a wild story. Gamer keeps Super Nintendo plugged in for 20 years, right? Check this out. To save his game. That's right. That's right. Can you imagine trying to save your game for 20 years? 20 years. Because the same game, you gotta be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. That is amazing to see. That is dedication, all right? Would I do it? Hell no. I'm just going to lose my save. I'm just going to lose the game in general. No way am I going to sit there and have my Super Nintendo plugged up for 20 years and keep it on for 20. But you know what? It tells me something. Plugged in or whatever. It tells me that those old, consoles, they were built to last, man. I mean, think about it. The PS3 and the Xbox 360, red rings of death, yellow rings of death, 3 to 6 months in, 20 years. 20 years. Granted, technology advances, but it goes to show you that they can make a game so simple, a console so simple, and yet have this world of entertainment in one little cartridge. You know what I mean? But when you start branching out and trying to make it more than just a gaming console, a multimedia system, you're going to have a lot of complications. And the thing is, remember, Xbox, they took responsibility for the red rings of death. Sony never did. They actually charged you and said, hey, it's your fault. So it goes to show you, companies screwing consumers. There's more of that, though. There'll be more of that. Let's move on. Let's talk more about anniversaries. Also, another wild story for those, and it's actually a congratulations story as far as I'm concerned. Blind gamer beats Zelda Ocarina of Time after 5 years. Dedication. Dedication. Congratulations for beating that game. 5 years. That is a milestone, and that's the thing. When you're seeing these gamer awards and all this other bullshit that you see on TV, Spike TV, that pathetic piece of shit, like I said, I refuse to watch that shit anymore. I refuse to. But when you have a gamer who does something like this, 5 years, get that person a fucking award. Give him an award. You know what I mean? Like, I would rather those type of people get an award than, hey, I just started up a channel, give me money. Get the fuck out of here, that old bullshit. I'm not trying to hear it. I had a cushy job, but I want to leave my job. Motherfuckers out here don't even have jobs, or they're homeless. You want to leave a well-paid job to start some entertainment. Get the fuck out of here. And rely on gamers to pay your... Let's keep going. Let's fucking keep going. Here's some wild news as well. Have you ever wanted to play Pac-Man by using your arms? Me neither. Alright, I don't understand that. And what I mean by that is, Pac-Man... you can play Pac-Man by swinging your arms like a madman. So you're constantly doing this by playing Pac-Man. I'll put the video in the info bar. You've got to be kidding. That's how it starts off. Have you ever wanted to play Pac-Man by using yours? I'm like, no, not at all. Not at all. I don't know what's going on. And in some ironic news, all right, Square closes cloud gaming arm, Shinra Technologies. Ironic as fuck, you close. Just saying, Square, okay? Let's move on, all right? In more gaming news, all right? Talk about actual games now. Asylum, for those who don't know, I showed the trailer not too long ago for Asylum, survival horror game. It is 100% guaranteed to arrive this year. So, we'll be looking forward to that one. Also, another survival horror game, solve the mystery behind a freaky urban legend in Wick. And for those who have not seen what Wick looks like, let's take a look at it right now.
You should be.
Doesn't look that bad. You know, I will say, I'll keep up on it, but I will say that I'm not really much of a fan of first-person survival horror. I'm more of a fan of third-person survival horror, games like Silent Hill and things of that nature, because you can still, you know, create that atmosphere and that, you know, that fear at times. Even when you don't have to be all in your face, jump scare, blah, 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 you know what I mean? But don't get me wrong, there are some great first-person survival horror games out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm just kind of tired of them at this point, you know? That's just my opinion. Like I said, I'll still check it out and see if it's worth it, but, you know, I do want to move on. I want to talk about something that should be talked about for a while now. That's right. Assassin's Creed. For those who don't know. We talked about Assassin's Creed not too long ago with the movie, but now here we are, Assassin's Creed again. For those who don't know. There won't be a big Assassin's Creed game this year. Ubisoft is listening to their consumers, right? And then they say the next game will be set in Egypt, right? Now I find that funny. Because when the rumors came out that Assassin's Creed was going to be set in Egypt, the developers were like, no, it's one of the worst places to be. The gamers picked the worst places, locations to be in. If you don't believe me, here it is for you. So, Ubisoft, let me get this straight. Gamers suggest to you on the internet that the three biggest places, popular places that you could go to is World War II, alright, feudal Japan, or Egypt, and you tell them, disrespect the consumers, the very same consumers you want to buy, you disrespect them by saying that they are the worst places that they can go to, and then you take their ideas and use it anyway. Fucking stupid. Oh my god. Come on. I've never seen an ass-backwards company as Ubisoft. It'd be one of those things if they were like, you know what? I think that we need to apologize. I think we went too far. I think that, you know, we were, you know, feeling ourselves a bit too much, you know, a little bit too much arrogance. And we should listen to you gamers. And that, you know, this is what's going to happen. But instead, you just decide, hey, we're just going to make the game. You're not going to say shit. You're not going to apologize for nothing. Just, oh, my God. Come on, man. Speaking of apologies, because we need to talk about this, all right? Because the people of Shenmue 3 need to apologize to its fans. You know what I mean? And we talked about Shenmue 3 before, and like I said, when we were talking about this before, so many fans came in the comment section, how dare you say that this is Shenmue? Oh, Shenmue! After all these years, I'm like, are you fucking serious? And then we saw people who made videos, other people made videos, and they were being bombarded with hate because of what they thought about Shenmue 3. You know what I mean? Well, here's something, because you can't deny this. You can't. And you know it's fucking wrong. Alright? PayPal backers of Shenmue 3 won't have access to the Kickstarter exclusive rewards. You're just gonna fuck them right all in the ass, huh? That is absolutely ridiculous. And for those, alright, who think, oh no, that shouldn't, you know, they shouldn't have, you know, exclusive access. First off, if you're backing it, it shouldn't matter. Number one, alright? It shouldn't. Everyone should get the same access because you're backing it regardless. You're still giving your money to them, right? That's what this is about. Giving your money so that they can make the product that you want, right? So it doesn't matter. You're part of the community. You're part of a collective because you're all giving your money. But here's the problem with that, all right? Because the people who were overseeing this project, they held a poll. That's right, a poll. Saying, hey, look, should the people on PayPal, should they get the same exact, Kickstarter exclusive, the perks and everything that you guys are getting here on Kickstarter? And guess what? The poll was yes. That's right. So let's look at the poll right now. Now, as you can see, the bottom bar, that's undecided. But when it comes to yes and no, the yes wins, right? I don't even know why people even said no. You gotta be a real self-centered, sensitive motherfucker to say no to begin with, alright? Gamers are gamers. Everyone deserves the same stuff. They're still backing the product regardless. So it doesn't matter, right? But for some reason, you want to keep this divide going. And this is a problem that we're having in our community right now. You're playing this petty bullshit. But whatever. The fact is, these people still aren't getting it. Even though they asked for a poll to listen to so-called fans, alright? That's what it almost makes me feel it's the illusion to listen to fans. These people deserve to have the backing. They deserve the perks. They backed you. They gave you the fucking money. It doesn't matter if it's from PayPal or Kickstarter. They still gave you the shit. And for people to get all upset and be like, no, they paid a different way. They don't deserve it. Get the fuck out of here. How petty can you fucking be? Let's move on. Let's talk about the PS4. I had a person not too long ago message me and say that the Xbox has never been hacked and the PS4 has never been hacked and blah, blah, blah. And it's a bunch of bullshit. Because we know when people get their hands on stuff, they can hack it. And for those who don't know, there will be a video in the info bar. The PS4 has been hacked. That's right. There's a video that shows a console playing Pokemon on it. That's right. Also, we know not too long ago that Sony, their network was down. Once again, these networks going down, and if you have games that are always online playable, and you can't play the games without it, you're fucked, right? Alright. So, Sony is to extend PS Plus and PS Now subscriptions for following the PSN outage. It's absolutely ridiculous. Look, I understand if people, they want to give somebody, to say, hey, look, it went out, it's our fault, we'll make it up to you. But once again, that's not my beef with Sony right now. My beef is with all those developers who decide, hey, we should have always online, and Sony letting it stay open for free will and saying, you can do it if you want. And no. They say our first-person games won't be that way, but the third parties, we'll let them do it if they want. It's fucking stupid. It is. When an outage happens like this, and I want to play a game that's, that's, that play it offline, you tell me, nope, you can't play this game because you don't have online connection right now. But the network is down. That's not our fault right now, is it? You'll just have to not play it. So now they're going to tell you when you can play your game after you bought this shit. But no one's fighting about that either, huh? Maybe we should get the women to save us on that too, huh? Unreal. Let's keep moving on. Speaking of Xbox, I said I'd get back to it. Major Nelson says that the HoloLens won't be a gaming-first device. No shit. Has anyone watched the tech videos of the HoloLens? And I'm not talking about E3, where you're like, look, we've got Minecraft. No, I'm talking about the actual tech videos before E3 even came around. The HoloLens can do so much more. It shouldn't be a gaming-first device, alright? It shouldn't. This device, and even though it's wildly, highly priced, which is like, yeah, as much as I wanted that thing, I'm like, I'm not spending that much money on a fucking HoloLens. But I put it like this. This should have not been a gaming-first device. It should never be a gaming-first device. It could help society. Just like the Kinect. They tried to make it a gaming-first device, and what happened? Fucking failed. That's what happened. The HoloLens should branch out. And like I said, when you see these tech demos and you put it on, and your entire living room turns into a virtual reality, and you can pretty much be walking on Mars and things of that nature. You can't tell me that this should be a gaming-first device. No way. This could help society and interact completely different than what we're used to. I've always said when I saw this, that this could be the next big thing if Microsoft treats it right. If they treat it right. And of course, that's a hard, big if. You know what I mean? If. So, we'll see what happens with it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it shouldn't be a gaming-first device. And I don't think you should have to write an article about that or even make a comment on it. Because, like I said, anyone who watched these tech demos before E3, when they shoehorning shit out there, just to say, hey, we got stuff, because that's what Microsoft did. If you see these demos, there's no way around it. You can sit here and say, it's a gaming-first device. It shouldn't even have been asked. It didn't need to be asked. Once again, it sounds like just people that are out of the loop and trying to make it more than what it is. That's what it feels like. Also, in more Microsoft news, Scalebound. You know, that other game that Platinum Games was making it that no one really cares about, as we've seen with the short-haired dude, and everyone say short-haired Dante. It looks like him again. Scalebound has been delayed until 2017. That's right, 2017. So I don't think anyone really cares anyway, because Platinum Games just gave you Bayonetta. They gave you, Transformers. They're getting ready to give you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm sure they'll keep people very happy until this game comes out. So, no worries. Also, last bit of news. 3D video games can improve your memory. That's right. There'll be a link in the info bar for that as well. I want to say right now that, before I end this video, that All Games Done Quick, they've been taking a lot of flack as of late. And I don't know what's going on. A lot of people are saying that there's shady dealings going on. They're letting kids get drunk at the actual events. I don't know. You know what I mean? They raised a lot of money. I mean, they just did about a Half-Life, run? And they raised, $300,000 just for the Half-Life speed run? I don't know what's going on with All Games Done Quick, but there are a number of people on Twitter talking about how they won't watch it this year because of all the shady things. I really don't understand what's going on. However, let's not forget, this is still for a good cause. They did a great job. For what I've seen, they were doing a great job. And I don't know what's going on. They also had a lot of jokes going on, which, as you know, when this is, when you put the joke in, it says on Twitter, if you search it, All Games Done Quick joke, that's where a lot of people are saying, it's a joke, I won't watch it, blah, blah, blah. It was like, they were just taking a lot of flack. So, if anyone knows more about the situation, because I really haven't seen much on it, other than, what people had sent me on Twitter was like, yo, what's going on here? I was like, I don't really know, but I don't have the time to research it, really. So, if anyone knows, please let me know, so, I can do a follow-up to this. Also, I want to say that I hope everyone had good New Year's. You know what I mean? Hope everyone was safe, and I just want to say that, we're starting a new year, and once again, the same old shit is happening, and it doesn't need to happen. Like I said, this year should be about dismantling. That's what it should be about. Because last year was just fighting and shit posting and infighting, and all that shit has to stop. If anything's going to progress, whether it's on either side of this problem, all the fighting has to stop, and there has to be more communication. It has to be. Now, if you're going to be an attention whore, well then you get the fuck out. Seriously. I said it before. You don't even need to take the door. Take the window. Seriously. There's no reason for it whatsoever. At this point, you should be playing your games. You should be having fun with your games. And, trying to get people together to play games. That's what it's about. But every time, like I said, every time someone wants to have fun or do something positive, like I said, you go on Twitter and you see these same usual suspects. I swear, they wake up every fucking morning. I'm a victim. I can't believe this is happening. I'm outraged. Blah, blah, blah. You wake up acting that way. Just pissing on parades. You know what I mean? Are you really that... Is your life really that sad? That this is what you have to do? I'm going to wake up and the first thing I'm going to do in the morning is bitch about Captain America Civil War. Because superheroes are punching superheroes. What? That's what you do. That's what you set out to do. Fucking losers. I swear, fucking losers. Gamers, whether they want to say that you're a misogynist, whether you're a rapist, whether you're a harasser, whether you're a killer, whether you're a molester, we've seen it all from the media, have we not? They have labeled you, you're worse than ISIS, now you're just not gamers. They've thrown every accusation at you, and it hasn't stuck. What does that tell you? They don't know what else to fucking do. And it's pretty sad that these people have to waste their time doing this as well. I'm going to try and create a hashtag so that everyone can piggyback off of it. Gamers aren't gamers. Gamergate aren't gamers. Everyone follow it. Therefore, I get followers and I get likes. It's disgusting, man. This is really what y'all do, huh? And y'all, like I said, these aren't kids. These are adults. Alright? Y'all got shit else better to do. Take your ass outside. Take your ass outside. And as you know, during the weekends, that's when they do it most. Because they love the bait. They fish. They go fishing. Like I said, don't fall for it. Don't. Like I said, if they want, every time they say Gamergate aren't gamers, challenge them to a game. Well, if I'm not a gamer, then you have no problem playing me in this, right? See what they say. Oh, I forgot. They won't say anything. They'll just block you. That's what they do. They'll just block you. That's like I said, it's the most immature thing I've seen. And these are the people who keep saying games need to grow up. Yet these are the same people. Games need to grow up. Flash a boob. Oh my God, it needs to be censored. Games need to grow up, though. Okay. Anyways, I'm done for a day. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.